Sorry, Glenn. I know we kept you waiting, and you're sitting in the sun. You're looking ominous. You look like you're a godfather.
Yes.
Right now. So we can keep it quick. We got one question each.
Yeah.
Yes, my friend, yes.
You can't refuse.
Hey, I've been enjoying the conversation. You guys are on fire with this. I mean,
join the club.
First of all, let me weigh in immediately on the tailgating.
Yes,
100% for it. And one of the great examples I can give you in the NFL is Tennessee. I mean, when my son was down there, I would just walk over, go to the tailgate, and then walk back and watch the game in a bar. So, the tailgate became its own money-generating, revenue-building, aspect of your day, and you didn't even have a ticket to get into the stadium at that point. There was one time I heard, and I don't think it was even the current management with the team, but I had heard that there was concern that if you opened up tailgating in Saskatchewan, you would lose revenues in the stadium with food and beverage. And I scratched my head on that one a little bit, because that person has not been around a guy who has 2 or 3 beers before kickoff, goes into the stadium. Now he is chowing down on the first kiosk he gets to. And he's probably all of a sudden decided that he's buying 2 new hats. I got to get that sweatshirt. I haven't seen that sweatshirt for you guys know what happens when you go after 2 beers, you go shopping.
Drunk purchases. Who hasn't made drunk
closet
purchases?
Full of that stuff.
Yeah,
right.
Male and females.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I didn't think that was a good reason not to. I think the bathroom thing could be easily fixed. You just do the porta potties everywhere and you're good to go there. And, to grow the experience, it is a great idea. I think there's room to do it in Saskatchewan. The bars and restaurants, they'll be fine. How about this? How about the team and the governing body that works with the stadium? You guys probably know more about that than I do, but how about them deciding that the local bars and restaurants can have their own kiosks in the stadium where they sell their type of food, their specialty food, a little taste of Regina, a little taste of Saskatchewan while you're in the stadium, and they give a kickback to the team because they've given them the space.
That's already the case.
Restaurants are taken care of.
That's already the case. The concessions within the stadium were already local restaurants. So they already did that. They did that part right. Yeah.
Okay. So that takes care of the revenues for local bars and restaurants. And you're opening up a chance to spend the whole day, and you walk in there after 3 beers playing what's
cornhole?
Cornhole or whatever when you're in the tailgate, which I became a little. I'm sort of cornhole champion in Tennessee. They weren't happy the Canadian was beating them down there, by the way.
Beer pong.
Yeah.
Beer pong.
Yeah. Oh, don't even get my wife going on tailgate games, because Roman, when I took him for his 10th birthday to Boston, and we played beer pong, and he was killing it. And then we came home and we both had COVID because the guy making me the Caesars, I was like, oh yeah, his hand was in the ice there. That was probably a bad idea. But don't tell her. She's probably not listening.
Yeah.
And just the revenue stream. And there's going to be lots of, you can't do it because of this. You can't do it because of this. What about the bars and restaurants?
Figure out a way. And not only the revenue stream, the experience. We're enhancing the experience. We're changing the game day experience, right?
What if Amazon would have just kept selling books? Someone didn't say, well, we can open it up and do this.
Yeah, sell blankets.
They sell everything now.
Yeah.
They sell you. You're on there by Sharky.
Yeah,
no, it's like, you can't say that.
And you still have your kids section. You still have that outdoor, park right beside the stadium where they have the live band for the kids. And you can still do a little bit of both. I just, when we fight tooth and nail for the right demographic, which is 18 to 28, somewhere in there. Now this is the wheelhouse. This is the tailgating wheelhouse. Hamilton is fantastic tailgate. Winnipeg tailgate is excellent. And their stadium, as you guys talked about, It's out in nowhere's land. So, it is possible to do this over-governing with, hey, they're starting here in Vancouver to allow people to drink on the beaches. So they're starting to get there a little bit.
In Vancouver.
Yes.
Well, it's pretty loose out in Vancouver.
Well,
they were giving everybody drugs for a while.
Yeah, that hasn't. Don't get me started. That hasn't worked out well either.
No, that went poorly. That went very poorly. Yeah.
But what it's doing, it's kind of like I saw in Europe, guys. What it's doing to me is it's saying you're accountable. You're accountable for your decisions. A couple of beers on the beach is no big deal. A glass of wine while you're watching sunset, no big deal. But if you get stupid with it, we're going to throw you in jail. That's the part we got to also have.
Oh,
if
glasses
you become an idiot
on a beach.
But you can walk down the street in Vegas with a cold beer in your hand and nobody thinks anything of it, right?
Exactly. Italy too.
Why is it so unique there that we can't do it in the rest of the world?
Yeah, and let the citizens use their common sense. It's not very common, I know, but let's.
Your Scottish example of there's no hand railing over the ocean. We would build a wall, hand railing, screens.
Exactly.
Eight bathrooms.
Yeah, 8 bathrooms.
A library.
And no liquor stores.
Pave over all the ancient cobblestone because it was too bumpy.
That's right. Yeah.
And then 3 times a day a train comes through. And you have to wait. What do you think about Stuart Johnston in the last few days? Have you talked to him?
I haven't. I've sent him an email. Apparently, he'll still have his Bell Media phone for another couple weeks here. I will get a chance to talk to him. I'll certainly, tell you guys how that conversation goes. But we've had many conversations through the last 10, 15 years, and this is the right guy for the job for the league right now. To me, this is an ideal hire because all these ideas we're talking about with tailgating and different ways to increase revenues. He's in the entertainment business. He's in the business of presenting the product, of selling the product. He's got the sales side experience, plus he's got the negotiation side when it comes to TV rights. But beyond that, his whole life has been presenting the product and finding new ways, innovative ways to enhance that and grow it and make it, evolve over time, as you guys have been talking about. And you talked with Arash. It was a great conversation. How do we create new programming that gets another kid hooked and loving the sport? That's always on the table, always in our meetings.
I mean, it's the right hire they're going into the TV contract time. They've got to get something lined up. You've just brought the leader from the other side over to your side to negotiate the contract for you. He knows all the I's and T's that they got to dot and cross on the other side of the aisle. So that part makes a lot of sense. What he's going to do for the league business-wise and otherwise, we don't know that yet because we always see is the TV part. But I hope there's a lot coming out of there as well.
I hope and I think he seems extremely smart, innovative. Like you said, Glenn, he's been through a lot of changes at TSN and what they've done. And another thing I'm curious about where he lands on expansion and what his take is. Who is he going to have working with them to figure out a way to get kids interested in this? You have to get kids interested in it, or there will be nothing. Like they're so preoccupied on their phones. The Flag Football League in Regina, and we've talked about it to nauseum, and it's unbelievable, and it's coming up here again, and we're a big sponsor of it, and we love it. Glenn, you talk about it all the time, like how that flag football, and that's going to be the way to bring these kids in. The CFL has to be all over it. You can't let the NFL own that. You have to grab these kids there. And maybe it's not an exact science, and you go, who cares? How many kids can you get? Any of them? Because right now you're not getting many.
No. They've got to do something different.
Yeah, you absolutely have to lean into big time into this flag football and how it is growing and really exploding. But that will even be bigger in probably 10 times bigger when flag football is in the Olympics. And people are now watching it football, because we could never play football internationally because you can't play a tournament in 2 weeks. You can't in football because you have to have more rest. It's a physical game, and because of that, we've never really been on the international stage. As soon as you put on Team Canada colors, and you're out there playing flag football against the USA in the gold medal game, and it's a tie score going into the fourth quarter, you got a whole bunch of people hooked, and if Nathan Rourke is throwing against Patrick Mahomes, great. If it's not pros, that's okay too. I still think Canada will be one of the top teams in the tournament.
Yeah. And then we have Mason Nias from Regina throwing for Team Canada.
Yeah.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah.
And here's an tailgate idea. Putting it over here. Here's another one. Before those Olympics in Los Angeles, which is a 2 hour and 45-minute flight from here, before those Olympics, and if there's a team from India, if there's a team from Pakistan, if there's a team from Bangladesh, I'm just going through all the friends and the people that we have now in our community. If they have flag football teams and you bring them in 2 weeks earlier and they play some exhibition games at Mosaic Stadium, and you get those cultures, those families in the stadium to watch. Sorry,
absolutely.
Glenn.
Absolutely.
I'm giving away my binder full of tricks.
And bring in have the ladies play too.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And now pack the stadium with people that want to see, their friends and their, the family members and stuff. So it's leaning into flag football. It's interesting that you mentioned, Barney, the expansion discussion, which will always come up with the new commissioner. That'll be one of the first questions he gets in one of his first press conferences. I'm actually optimistic about that. I know a lot of commissioners have tried, and a lot of commissioners have talked about it. Randy Ambrosi certainly did, and he got some progress, and then COVID shut it down. It looked really good that the Maritimes were going to get their government aid, different levels of government involved. And then COVID ended that. But I think it's still possible. And with Stuart Johnson, here's a guy that may be selling it from a different perspective. Not necessarily bringing football into your region, but bringing an entertainment vehicle into your region that is going to draw 500 to 800,000. The CFL draws 2 million people a weekend watching them on TV. Now, you take shots of the harbor in Halifax or wherever you put that stadium, your tourism starts bumping up, and he can bring that different perspective. Stuart Johnson comes from the entertainment angle, the production angle, the sales angle. I'll be interested to see if he can't create a competition between Quebec City and the Maritimes. Who will be the 10th franchise? Here's what it can bring you. And Stuart Johnson's got a great background in selling what it could bring you for your region.
I like that. I'm excited now. Way to go, Glenn. I'm excited. I'm excited for this. And you're saying the right things in terms of what those communities can get by being a part of this, right? It's more than just building a football stadium. It's more than just having a football team. It's showing your community, your area, right? We have great shots of Regina when we go over, and people love looking at the stands here because they're full and they're dressed up and everybody's got a jersey on. I have family that call me from all over the country. Is it really like that? Is it really like that at every game? Yeah, it is. Every game.
Hey,
they're calling you because you owe money. And then they're like, does it really look like that?
The Tourism Saskatchewan commercial that I see occasionally in there, and it shows the lake country and the fishing possibilities and things. I mean, that I get excited. There's a lot of potential there, and getting the governments and tourism in every city more involved. That's another revenue stream that's been untapped for a long time.
You go away. You go to the real stuff when you go fishing up there, the fly-in stuff.
Yeah.
What's the camp?
K&K Camps at Burbage Lake.
K&K, that's next up. Northern Saskatchewan, outside of mosquito season, is unreal.
It's second to none.
And I fly that flag to people in the States all the time. Like, if you like fishing, if you like hunting, Northern Saskatchewan, I actually just sold some guys from New York they're going on a golf trip, and I'm like, do you know how much golf you can play up here with your dollar?
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, cha-ching. Okay, before we let you go, I know you got to get to another hit. I had this the other day. I sent it to Colson, and I remember when you talked like the NFL's big and the NFL gambling and all that is. Check out these stats. I read them on the show yesterday. Okay, the Super Bowl, Glenn.
Yeah.
130 million viewers. You got that?
Yep.
130 million viewers. The World Cup of Soccer, 6 billion. It is 104 Super Bowls in 1 month. It is 3 Super Bowls a day. Just let that sink in.
Holy smokes.
We're in the wrong business.
Yeah, you know what,
And the
guys?
score's 1-0.
Yeah, I saw a little piece of that in Newcastle when they won some sort of cup. Every soccer game is a cup game, and and they won some sort of championship against Liverpool. It was played at Wembley Stadium. We were in Newcastle, and Newcastle was playing. They hadn't won a championship in 37 years or something like that. And I saw a little piece of that fandom, and boy, listen, the NFL and that league and Premier League soccer, those are in another stratosphere. Okay,
Yep.
so let's not make those the goal, because that's impossible. Like that's not. But we can. There's so much potential here. Stuart Johnson's going to be the right guy. I think he's the right guy at the right time.
Like it.
All right, Glenn, have a great weekend. And hopefully Stu returns your message. You can talk to him this weekend. And then next week when we chat, we'll get the inside scoop. Thanks, buddy.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.